Hey coaches, welcome back to my channel. This is Matt Lasker. And if you're here, you're probably here to talk all things air raid, spread football, and youth, middle school, or high school football. We appreciate you being here. On today's episode, we're going to talk about how I've decided to run mesh from now on at all levels. Just a bit of a change up, but I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of it as we found this nice little wrinkle to be something that we just always want to, as a part of our mesh concepts. So stay tuned. We'll get started right now. All right, coaches, before we get to the mesh piece, I wanted to do our weekly spin around the world and a new segment that we're going to go ahead and just decide to call This Week in Coaching. A little nod to one of my favorite shows as a youth, This Week in Baseball. Used to love that show, watching all the highlights. We'll just do a quick recap on our whistle.com. Again, whistle.com without the I. We are trying to make a place where all you coaches can come find all the most relevant information for coaching, no matter what level you are. So first, This Week in Coaching, we'll look at the articles. Again, we continue to see crazy coaches that we need to blow the whistle on. Lower Hudson Valley youth charged with sex acts. Former Middle Tennessee pastor, sex crimes. Guys, we got to do better. We'll get to the tortilla throwing incident in a second. That's one of my fails of the week for coaching. But the first one, the one I want to call out is the first Black woman to ever get an NCAA head coaching hockey job. And while we don't talk hockey here, I think it's great. I think it's great for the sport of hockey. I think it's great for all sports in general. Look, if somebody can coach, I don't care who they are, if they've played or not before, man, woman, whatever. If that person has proven that they are willing to step in, put in the work, and can communicate and coach these young men and women up in whatever sport it is, all for it. And we congratulate Kelsey Koltzer. Sorry if I butchered that. The other one I wanted to make reference to was this high school basketball coach got fired. There was a basketball team from San Diego playing a team from Coronado, which is in San Diego, but a different part of the city. I don't think the coach was literally involved with the throwing of the tortillas or even bringing the tortillas. The way it's kind of stated in the game is that an adult brought tortillas to throw because they knew the team they were playing was predominantly Latino descent. Obviously down in San Diego, pretty close to Mexico. So there's a lot, that's a huge community down there. So again, we got to blow the whistle on these people. While the coach probably didn't know or even tell anyone to do that, he did get fired for it. So there must be something behind the scenes that they're not telling us in that article. But again, just ridiculous. Come on, guys. I mean, really, let's elevate each other, elevate our kids, and elevate the coaching community. All right, cool. So if you remember the first week, we really attacked Y corner, and we have 17 ways to run Y corner. Last week we were after attacking mesh, and we beat our Y corner. We have 18 ways. So Joseph Russell, thanks for jumping in and adding your ways to run mesh. Those ones are pretty new. Again, this James Franklin continues to be a great resource on Twitter. All these different ways to run mesh. Clay Lempley jumped in here pretty quickly. Again, more with the Nevada ways to do it. So yeah, continue, guys. Keep please adding them on. I think, obviously we want you to keep adding to mesh, but I think this week Jason Ross added this Y stick group. So let's go attack stick, guys. Everyone right now, go in there, drop in the way you run stick. A lot of different ways that people do that, and it's been pretty much everyone's playbook. So please go ahead and drop in the way you run stick. All right, good. So that's it on This Week in Coaching. Appreciate it. Let's not throw tortillas at each other moving forward. That'd be great. Okay, cool. So my quick mesh update, okay? So if you remember, the way I've done it was really akin to the way that how Mummy ran it, with both outside receivers running outs, and then the mesh in the middle, and then the back swinging or running the arrow. And that progression was out, swing, mesh. And we left the mesh as the dump down last resort. And last year when we ran this, we literally never got to the mesh in a real tackle game. I'm not talking about flag or 7-on-7, but in tackle season, we never got to the mesh, which is fine because the outs are always open. It really is. And so with that, you know, I wasn't really finding value in them coming to the line of scrimmage and picking a side. Basically, with both guys running outs, it seemed to me that makes sense in my mind that we're just kind of wasting a receiver when we do that. So previously we had him coming up to the line of scrimmage, picking a side by cornerback leverage, whoever was off more, he'd pick that side and work out swing mesh. So we're just going to call the way we run the mesh. I'm going to say mesh right or mesh left. And if I say mesh right, like on the screen here, that outside receiver is going to do the 8 to 10 yard speed cutout. We are going to have him pinch down. And as you guys get older, you can kind of creep out there more. Our 14U 8th grade team would probably be pretty close to numbers. If you're 12U or under, the younger, I'd say the further in you need to pinch, even all the way to the bunch if you need to. And also with our seventh graders and below, 12U and below, sometimes we bring this down to a 5 yard out instead of an 8 to 10, just depending on the arm strength. But anyway, so now what we're going to do is put the backside receiver on a little sit route. Some people call it a spot route. Some people call it a find. We're just going to go ahead and just call it I call it a sit or a snag. But essentially, we want them getting about 10 yards depth and staring directly at the quarterback so he can see you, okay? So what's been happening in practices and in 7-on-7 and throughout this last year, we've been really trying to see if this will work. We go out, then we go to the mesh second, as that has tended to be available as the second read. And that is actually how, like, Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma, they actually read mesh as the second read in general to the dig. Okay, so right now my quarterbacks know if I say mesh right, what's the progression? It's out, mesh, dig. We just call it a dig just to make it simple, but it could be a sit, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so if we flipped it and went mesh left, then now this outside guy to the right is doing the sit over the middle, and it's still out mesh dig. And the back is always, we always tell our quarterbacks, if anything feels weird or anything goes wrong at all, you always have your back. Okay. And then so at a 3-by-1, here's how we run it. So if we go early, notice this guy knows by rule, if we're in early mesh, he needs to squeeze way down because now he's actually in the mesh with the Y. And now we have our H letting this Y kind of go first. So he gets into his route quickly. The Y, maybe foot fires or just kind of trails, the H trails the Y and kind of releases from that trail right here and gets, again, about 10 yards depth right in front of the quarterback. So the progression is the same. We still got the out, the mesh, and the dig, but the L is inside this. And obviously on this guy's, this tag with F wheel is absolutely deadly. We worked that pretty hard on our in our high school club team, and it works. But really getting the base offense down, mesh at a 3-by-1, out, mesh, dig with a tag waiting to be exposed with this F wheel. Okay. All right, that's it, fellas. Not going to do film. I want to keep these short and sweet for you. But again, go to Whistle and make sure you go add to our mesh Y corner or stick concept group. So again, we have one place to go. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention? One thing I did forget to mention is that we have our most updated playbooks on here. So you guys that we're bringing over from Air Raid Warden's site, if you look up here, we have the shared files now. You guys requested this, so we're going to add it. So the 2021 varsity playbook, and for us varsity, it's 8th grade. It's all in here. It's all the most updated, all the formations. We even have the goal line formations in here, black and brown. That wasn't in the original webinar series. We got all of our sticks with the appropriate numbers that go with it. Okay, fade outs in there now, corner. Anyway, it's all in here. So please, 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 please go to whistle.com, sign up. We're going to need to get you over from Air Raid Warden. We're going to shut that down here relatively soon. Join Whistle, participate, collaborate with each other on these groups, and we're going to build a website so any sport athlete coach can come in here and find plays and just find help. So help us build that out. Blow the whistle in your neighborhood or your community on coaches that just should not be a part of it. We need to protect our kids and protect our sports from people that are not doing it for the right reasons. And lastly, if you haven't subscribed, I'm close to 900, which means I'm close to 1,000 subscribers. I really want to get there. So please subscribe down below, like the video. We'll see you guys next week I'll do this every week now with a new update. We got all these updates to our playbook for you guys. So talk to you soon. Appreciate it, fellows. Keep up the great work out there as coaches.